All right, beautiful day. First no heat call. Actually, mid-September. I'm gonna take my same little 3 pieces up here in the attic and look at this gas furnace. Okay. All right. Goodman furnace. So, let's get it open. All right.
I'll give you a little bit of time to look it over. Do you need any water or anything? Can I get you anything?
Oh no.
We're just going to be watching our church service downstairs, but can I get you something to drink or you want something to eat or anything?
I'm good.
Okay.
I appreciate you
Okay.
thinking of me, but we'll figure out what's going on with it. Just first I kind of look for a burnt spot or a crack on the back of the board or something like that, you know?
No cracks that you saw?
No. No, it doesn't look bad from the back at all.
Do you want me to turn this off?
But we'll watch and see what's...
All right. Thanks so much for coming out today.
We'll figure out what's going on with it and try to get you some heat.
Yeah.
Of course, by the time we get it fixed, it'll be time to turn the air back on.
Exactly.
I do believe. Okay, man. All right, so you hear the click for the... Got something going on in the connection right there. didn't look bad as far as the board goes. And these, I tell you, these are really not going to usually be something giving you a problem when you can't see it. Normally you can see just plain as day what's going on with these in the Molex plug here. Sometimes one of these is loose, and instead of going in well, it just gets pushed back, you know. So obviously you shouldn't be able to pull one of these out. And like I say, it's usually going to be the board. And you can get like a cold solder joint on the board that's not really always visible. Which is probably what's going on here. But all these are pretty good. Sometimes you can see when some of the pins may need to be helped, you know. And then you try to stick something really thin in there and split it apart and make it to where it makes a tighter connection, and you might break something. So I'll tell you what, I mean, you're usually just better off replacing these boards than... All right, let's just change this board. And then when it does fire up with the board, we'll shake, wiggle, rattle, and roll everything. Make sure we don't lose it. And just eliminate the issue in that direction. All right. Let's pull all the neutrals off first. Unplug our Molex 12-pin plug. And line voltage, transformer voltage. They're marked. The blue and red are parked from the blower motor, as in not needed. And this one is just using black for heat and cool. You can see that little Jimmy Wiggler right there, little factory jumper. So it uses black for heat and cool. And then you got your, that should be your, it's either the hot surface or the induced draft, one of the two. All right, let's unhook the thermostat wires. That's your common. Green for fan. There's your red. There's your white. from the thermostat and one running through the float switch. That's why you see this wire there on it. Simple enough. So you can either remember where all that goes, or you just know. Now, a lot of people have a lot of tricks that they all use for getting the little standoffs loose on the board. Some people squeeze them and then pop them off. Just like that. Some people take a fountain pen with the guts out of it, and they slip it right over the top there, and it squeezes that. But they're pretty easy to get off no matter what. All right. Lucky to have this in the summertime. But I might not have a bunch of igniters and whatnot, but boards I tend to keep most of the time. Okay, just no plain to understand, like the heat and cool. And you got this little sticker they put there for you. But as far as the markings on the board itself, a little weird. And rather than fight these things out of the metal, I'll just pop these new ones off. It's real easy to just squeeze them and pull them out. Now, where the fountain pen comes in handy, or some kind of trick, is when they're up inside something like that. Can't really get to it good. That's where it's handy to have something that helps you. And the fountain pen, ink pen, whatever you want to call it, probably a pretty good idea. I would say it probably works very well. Okay. So, what I'm going to do first is look for the two hots. Like, here's one of them. And that was your line. I'm going to look for my transformer hot. We'll stick those on first. There's the transformer. There's your line voltage. There's one of your parked extra speeds. There's the other one. Obviously, parked means it ain't being used. Here's your black. And I'm gonna put this little Jimmy Wiggler back on there and tie the heat and cool together just like they had. Run them both off the same speed. Okay, then we got all our neutrals. Whole bunch of neutrals. And I would like to say that they matter where they go. And in some cases, in some boards, they actually might. Doesn't mean anything to this board. It really doesn't. They may have some of them marked, but on this board here, a neutral is a neutral is a neutral. Let's get our very important 6-pin Molex plug back on. It was nice and tight too. And let's just search through here. Make sure we're not missing anything. Not missing any neutrals or any wires. And as I always have, for whatever reason, I'm just going to test the functions of the board. Common green, red. I'm just going to power it up and test each one, or the heat and the fan anyway, with my jumper before I put all the thermostat wires back on. It's just something I've always done. So let's go ahead and do that. Yep. Got fan. Now let's test the heat. First click, and get a hot surface. There's the gas valve. Now, pretty much tells you that it's not going to have the same problem that it did. So I'm going to say there's a cold solder joint on the back here that the naked eye cannot see. Or it's possible that one looks a tiny bit tight or loose, whatever, so when they get squeezed together, I mean, it's really just not worth analyzing. Go out and price one of these boards and you realize, you know, this board is not worth putting any time into. So we've got it fixed. Let's put our thermostat wires back on. And let's put a zip tie on all of this spaghetti here and get these people some heat. All right, nothing on the twin. Yellow and the float switch on the yellow. White on the white from thermostat only, red from thermostat only, green from thermostat only, blue from thermostat, and white from the 2-wire going outside. Now everything should be correct. That's a zip tie around all this right quick. I'm so sure I've seen this before. Look at that. Now I could understand coming off the secondary with a pipe and going straight down, or maybe even elbowing back and having that 45 facing down. Not sure what the heck it's doing like that for. All right. Looks pretty good. I don't really put them on real tight, but I do like to make it just to where you can see things. And where you can see these, to put your jumpers off and on, to take them off and on, do whatever you're working on. If you have to make another repair or whatever, just generally try to make it where the first thing you open up is not just blah, spider web, spaghetti bowl, whatever you want to call it. So a couple little zip ties. I think there was only one that I cut out of here from the factory, that one. So looks pretty good. Let's get the doors back on. All right. The homeowner's bobby pin. I don't know what this thing is. Yeah, it must have different tips in it or whatever. Something's in it. Maybe I'm a little nosy. Little jeweler's tool, I guess. Oh, I know what that is. That's a eyeglass repair tool. Comes in a little kit. Might ought to get me one. All right. Should be good to go.